Our town's founder, John North, was a visionary. He spent his entire life fighting for racial equality, women's rights, and public education. He faced failure often, but persisted nonetheless. In 1855, he founded the town of Northfield along the Cannon River. The river has been flowing for about 3,000 years, ever since glaciers carved through North America and formed our waterways. Ever since then, through the rise and fall of indigenous empires, the suffering and perseverance of countless families, and the vision of people traveling from the east, the Cannon River has remained a constant. We stand on the homeland of the Wapakute Band of the Dakota people. This land which Northfield stands on has seen many changes. Through it all, the river has remained. The river, like the people who live around it, remains strong and continues moving forward. The people of Northfield have experienced great suffering in the last year. Trauma from illness and loss experiences take a lifetime to heal, but we will heal. Our community and all its members, we can heal and we will heal together. Like our town's founder, we persevere in the pursuit of a stronger community. Like the river around which our city was founded, we move forward as one. We may experience a rocky outcrop or fallen tree blocking our way that momentarily keeps us apart. But by moving forward, we guarantee that we will reform and reconnect at the other side of our obstacle. Northfield moves forward. I'm Mayor Rhonda Pownell. It is my honor to serve the community of Northfield. It is my privilege today to report on the state of the city. Throughout his life as a public servant, John North understood the potential power of a strong public education system and the vital role public libraries have in the well-being of communities. His advocacy reverberates through the walls of today's Northfield Public Library. This year, we begin a new chapter by welcoming our new library director, Natalie Draper. Natalie inherits a resilient library team passionate about the rich programs and resources the library provides for all to enjoy. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, Mayor. In the year before my arrival, everything changed for the Northfield Public Library. The COVID-19 pandemic required everyone to pivot their skills to support local families and keep the community enriched, informed, and entertained from a safe distance for free. We suspended library fines for 22 weeks. We distributed public health information through our website and newsletter in both English and Spanish. And we shifted as many programs as possible to a virtual format.
It's important to recognize that these accomplishments were not a given. Staff were able to reallocate resources to boost training on new technologies and techniques.
That's right. During the shelter-in-place order, library staff completed 260 training sessions. They learned new technologies to provide virtual programming for our children's programs. Programs like Summer Reading, Books and Stars, First Chapter Fridays, and Homeschool Hangout.
And that's just the children's programming.
Yeah, that's right. We created a new full-time position for youth services with an emphasis on young adults. We held 4 monthly book club discussions for adults virtually. We successfully held our annual Hispanic Heritage Month celebration with 16 virtual programs for all ages. Even right now, we're continuing our popular winter concert series.
There's plenty more programming to come, I'm sure. I know the library works closely with the Arts and Culture Commission. What's been going on with the arts in Northfield?
It's been a robust year for the arts in Northfield. The City Council recently adopted the 1% for the arts. That will provide funding tied with capital projects of the city. Will ensure a dedicated source of funding to support public art in Northfield. We've all needed some added love this year, and we've literally added that with our Love mural downtown and heart sculpture on Highway 3 and 3rd that was temporarily loaned to the community to enjoy. Minnesota's beloved muralist, Adam Turman, will be adding nature murals to our roundabout pedestrian underpasses. And for the 4th year, our Poet Laureate program will continue to bring nationally known poets, as well as local poets, to readings and events in town.
We've only talked about the programming side of things. What other things have you worked on?
We also had to adapt the basic function of a library with new safety concerns. The library put into place no contact service for library cards, outdoor pickups, and home delivery. We increased our e-books, e-audiobooks, and movie streaming. In addition, we created virtual reference services. This way we can reach everyone where they are comfortable and safe. We also recognize that not everyone comes to the library for books. For many, the library is the only place where they have access to computers or a fast internet connection. Working with our IT department, we were able to boost our Wi-Fi signal at the library to cover outside and around the building. This allows people to access public Wi-Fi without having to come inside. Library staff made sure that equity and accessibility were front of mind, even as we adapted to this health crisis.
The library has always played a major role in the community's equity and inclusion initiatives. Before we talk about those in greater detail, I want to highlight one more thing. In 2020, the Northfield Public Library partnered with Northfield Promise to give away reading materials to underserved neighborhoods at socially distanced events, such as Ready, Set, Read, and driveway story times. It was a small step the community was able to take, and it had a huge impact on our neighbors who received those services. In July 2020, the city adopted a racial equity action plan. We developed this plan because it's a way to be intentional about institutional culture change, and it will help us to design strategies to focus improvements. Developing racial equity plans and tools with all departments will help us better include racial equity as a factor in delivery of services and budgeting. Institutional racism is something ingrained into the fabric of many institutions in the United States. For the city, racial equity is about exploring our practices, service delivery, and policies to help find ways to make our institution more racially equitable. Having a racial equity action plan will keep this work a priority for the city as we carry out our work and create our budgets. We recognize as well that a major part of having an equitable community is having representative leadership. That's why we collaborated to pilot Growing Local, a Northfield Emerging Leaders program. This program is for residents in the Northfield area from historically underrepresented groups, such as people of color, Indigenous people, people living with disabilities, LGBTQ individuals, and others who have not yet actively participated in local boards, commissions, or committees, but who are interested in exploring future leadership opportunities. The first class took place from February to September 2020. It included 15 participants and 15 coaches. This effort was a collaboration between the City of Northfield, University of Minnesota Extension, Northfield Public Schools, Healthy Community Initiative, and Northfield Shares. We shifted the program to being virtual and added 2 additional sessions. Programs like these can have a lasting and monumental impact on the Northfield community for generations to come. Part of having a just and inclusive community is recognizing the history of the land and the people. Northfield is on Dakota land, the land of the Wapakute Band. The city adopted a land acknowledgement statement so that our shared history remains in the public discourse and can be taken into consideration.
The Northfield Human Rights Commission is pleased to announce Rama Abdullah as the 2021 recipient of the City of Northfield's Human Rights Award. The Human Rights Award annually recognizes an area individual, group, or organization that has contributed to the advancement of human rights in Northfield. Rama Abdullah is a senior at Northfield High School and has been an advocate for human rights since she was a freshman, when she joined the Black Student Union. She later became the co-chair of that organization. She has spoken at various civic groups and participated in the Say Their Names and the Black Lives Matter protests following the murder of George Floyd. She also organized a donation drive for a group called the Autonomous Zone, which distributed food, toiletries, and first aid items to those families impacted by the violence. In the words of her nominators, Rama is someone who cares deeply and passionately about human rights and racial equality and is a natural leader. She's a strong leader, holding the microphone, rallying others, tirelessly looking to what can be done to improve the lives of all in Northfield and beyond. Congratulations to Rama Abdullah on being this year's recipient of the Human Rights Award. Hi, I'm Ben Martig, City Administrator for the City of Northfield. I've had the pleasure to work closely with Mayor Punnell. Being mayor is an important role and certainly is a challenging one as well. It doesn't come with a job description, but there are many traits that make a great mayor and leader. It's my pleasure to present this year's Mayor for a Day essay contest winners. This contest is open to 4th and 5th grade students in Northfield. We asked students, if you were mayor for a day, what 3 leadership character traits would be the most important to have to be a great leader for the City of Northfield? And to give an example of how a leader that they have learned about in history has led with the 3 character traits. Here are a couple of the winning entries.
Hi, I'm Thisbe Jothan, and I'm in 5th grade. If I were mayor for a day, I would be determined. Determined to make our world a better place. I would be passionate. Northfield, Minnesota is my home and other people's home also. I would use that passion to make my home welcoming and friendly. Some people don't have the best life right now. COVID-19 is making little things in life hard. I would be hopeful that we will get through this together. I would and will make sure that everyone in Northfield feels safe and comfortable. I would and will do everything in my power to work toward making everyone feel as best as they can. Malala Yousafzai once said, "Don't be afraid. If you are afraid, you can't move forward." I know I can help everyone dealing with loss, hunger, and cold move forward together. I am passionate. I am hopeful. I am determined.
Hi, I'm Isabella Moreno, and I'm in the 5th grade. If I were mayor for a day, I would lead with honesty and intelligence. Having both of these character traits will make a good leader. Another character trait would be confidence. Having all of these character traits, just like Harriet Tubman, these would make a good leader. Having honesty would make a good leader, because if I did not lead with honesty, nobody would trust me, and I would have to have trust to be a good leader. Having intelligence would make a good leader, because if I were not an intelligent leader, it would be hard to lead, but having intelligence would make it easier to lead, and it would make people able to trust me more. Having confidence would make me a good leader, because if I'm not confident, I would not be able to stand up for myself. To lead, having confidence would help me, because I would not be able to lead the people who follow and trust me. Those are the character traits I would use if I were mayor of Northfield for a day.
This last year has brought not only a discussion about public health, but also about public safety. When talking about equity in health and safety, Northfield must take into account the history of our institutions and how we can best respond to the moment. Let's see what Chief Elliott and the police department have been working on. Hi, Chief.
Hi, Mayor.
The public health and safety events of 2020 required everyone to examine themselves deeply and ask what they could do to make the community a safer place. As the community's head safety official, what changed this year for you?
Across the board, we have had to rework our community outreach efforts. The Northfield Police Department made the difficult decision to cancel our traditional Night to Unite celebration. The decision was made in following the best public health guidance on limiting social gatherings. So in place of traditional neighborhood parties, we partnered with the Community Action Center of Northfield and Healthy Community Initiatives to do a food drive for the CAC food shelf. The CAC food shelf has seen a considerable rise in demand during the pandemic. We ended up with 24 official groups that collected food and monetary donations to the food shelf. Officers responded to each of these parties, collecting the donations, and then delivered them to the CAC. In total, more than 2,500 pounds of food and $2,600 in donations were received. These donations significantly helped the food shelf meet the needs of many in our community. Likewise, we had to pivot many of our usual events and find new ways to build connections and trust in the community.
One event I was happy to see continue was the Shop with a Cop event. It's always so fun to see pictures.
It's a favorite of our officers, too. In October, the department participated in the Shop with a Cop event with other Rice County law enforcement departments. Led by Sheriff Troy Dunn, this event pairs a local child with an officer to shop together for some needed items. This gave the kids a great opportunity to see officers as helpful and approachable and get to know them a little bit. While the kids always enjoy this event, our officers have enjoyed it even more.
On top of everything else, I know the department was able to maintain its usual responsibilities and regular commitments. I saw officers take turns ringing the bell for the Salvation Army. You graduated another class of DARE students before the lockdown began, and even trained in Officer Cohn to help lead the program. I wonder whether you could tell me about one of your newer programs for fighting the opioid epidemic.
Of course. First, let me say opioid addiction is sadly common across the country. We, in Northfield, are just one community trying to support their neighbors in this fight. For the past 2 years, the Northfield Police Department has been involved in a new program to address opioid addiction. Many community members saw a gap in outreach and connecting those struggling with opioid addiction with resources to assist them overcome their addiction. The Opioid Response Project started the Mobile Opioid Support Team, or MOST. The mobile team does outreach throughout the county through referrals from many sources, including healthcare, social services, and law enforcement. These professionals make referrals from those battling addiction, from their friends and family members that are looking for help. Fighting addiction is an uphill battle, but as with other public health crises, we can combat it best by coming together in a unified cause.
This is wonderful. I hope the nationwide and local efforts make progress and that those needing help can find it. I am astounded to hear how many partnerships the department was able to maintain this year. MOST, DARE, Salvation Army, and the Community Action Center. Outreach is clearly an important goal for the department.
We can keep the community safe when we have the community's trust. Trust is at the core of every outreach effort. Before you go, I have one small story from this year. A sad story, but one about the community finding kindness in the face of tragedy. On June 13th, Officers Drew Weirson and Brent Feldhake, along with Sergeant Brian Kramer, responded to a medical call on Woodland Trail. An elderly man was on his daily walk when he collapsed in a yard. The homeowner saw this and began CPR. Someone called 911, and when Officers Weirson and Feldhake arrived, they took over life-saving efforts. They coordinated with the responding Northfield Hospital EMS and Northfield Area Fire and Rescue to care for the patient and contact relatives. Unfortunately, the man died at the hospital. Following the incident, neighbors from Woodland Trail reached out and thanked the emergency response team for their service. The family of the man who died reached out and sent thank you notes. The community saw the care the man received not only on the day of the emergency, but the care the family received in the days after. The family members do not live in Northfield, but they feel a deep connection with our town. We received a very nice letter of thanks from the deceased brother, addressed to all responders and especially Officer Feldhake. Officer Feldhake worked diligently from the scene and later on to notify family members and provide them information. The brother sent a check for $100 asking to spend it on our officers. After talking with the officers, I contacted the brother and asked if NPD could coordinate and donate the check to the Community Action Center, because our officers often work with the CAC to provide support to our community members. The brother approved. This is a great example of the excellent service our first responders provide and the wonderful support our community members give to the first responders, even at a time of loss. As a department, we do everything we can to pass forward the support in our service to the public.
One of my roles as mayor is serving on the Economic Development Authority. The board works to support local investments with an eye toward the future of Northfield. Even in the face of COVID-19, we didn't lose sight of that mission. In response to the crisis that caused significant stress for small businesses, the EDA approved an e-commerce grant program. With fewer sit-down and in-store customers, the need for online commerce platforms became vitally important for businesses to compete in the current economic environment. This grant assisted 10 restaurants, eateries, and retail shops in Northfield to build their online commerce presence. E-commerce platforms are cost prohibitive for some of our businesses. This grant can help alleviate costs associated with building a commerce website. The City of Northfield also received approximately $1.5 million through the Federal CARES Act. The Northfield City Council distributed $400,000 in grants to businesses and $250,000 in grants to nonprofits. 35 businesses and 20 nonprofits received grants to assist with financial struggles due to the pandemic and corresponding shutdowns. We were able to provide over $75,000 to the Chamber of Commerce, who have partnered with the city to distribute information to businesses on resources and to assist in promoting shopping local during the pandemic. The city also invested in expanded outdoor furnishings in the downtown and riverfront to provide added opportunities to enjoy the outdoors and safely eat takeout from our local restaurants. We were able to provide healthy food to people in need through financial support to the Community Action Center for the expanded food shelf facilities at the former Greenvale School site, and for a new delivery van that provides healthy food to seniors and vulnerable adults. Funds were also given to healthcare providers, including Northfield Hospital and clinics, for virtual care services, and also assistance to Health Finders, who provides health care to people in our community who have limited health care alternatives. Our Housing and Redevelopment Authority provided over $50,000 in added emergency housing needs for families impacted by unemployment and financial crisis due to the pandemic. We were also able to assist HCI on bilingual technology assistance and funding for new investments in distance learning for students and post-secondary students. Northfield Public Schools was also provided financial assistance for personal protective equipment and costs to protect students and teachers. Then there are our more traditional projects. The EDA approved an application to the state of Minnesota to expand the All-Flex Flexible Circuits facility. The company wishes to expand from a 25,000 square foot facility to a 40,000 square foot facility. This will include investment in new equipment and 35 to 40 new jobs. The EDA application will help bridge a financing gap for the expansion project. We've all seen the cranes above downtown Northfield. The construction of the 5th Street lofts is a major redevelopment project for the city. This $14 million construction project received a $250,000 revolving loan from the EDA. When complete, the apartment complex will house 79 units on the northwest corner of 5th Street and Washington Street. This is one of many new housing projects. We know housing is in high demand in Northfield. We are looking for developers to add more of every kind of housing type, market rate, senior, and affordable housing. This past year, the city approved several housing projects, including the 5th Street lofts, Timberfield apartments behind Target, and Spring Creek Townhomes 2nd Edition. Of course, the EDA is only one partner in the effort to increase housing options. The Housing and Redevelopment Authority also had its own response to the instability from the COVID-19 pandemic. The Housing Board provided more than $50,000 to the Community Action Center to assist households with rent and mortgage payments. Finally, in 2020, Community Development issued almost 1,600 building, mechanical, plumbing, and rental permits and licenses, which means more than $64 million were reinvested in houses, businesses, and development. Developments include the opening of the new birthing center for Northfield Hospital and Clinics. The space was designed with feedback from new moms. Highlights of the multi-phase project include new labor and delivery rooms, including the new water birth suite, new patient rooms, new nursery, a dedicated operating room for cesarean sections, and a triage room. The birth center expansion makes room for 750 babies a year. Northfield Hospital and Clinics is municipally owned, which has become an increasingly unusual model. The City Council and Hospital Board worked on nurturing strong relationships over the last year that included establishing a playbook that was unanimously adopted by the Hospital Board and City Council that is designed to encourage collaboration and partnership, foster mutual understanding about issues important to both entities, and be a practical guide for action. Northfield Hospital and Clinics is such an asset, and we are so blessed to have access to quality health care for our community. Our Community Development Department assisted in staffing the Riverfront Enhancement Action Plan that was ultimately approved by the City Council. A vital part of the plan is a greater reliance on land and natural resources around us to help spur community and economic prosperity through enhancing the river as an asset that people are drawn to.
Hi, I'm Ben Mardig, City Administrator, back with Mayor for a Day essay contest winners. What 3 leadership character traits would be the most important to have to be a great leader for the City of Northfield? Let's find out.
Hi, I'm Ayla Morgan, and I'm in 5th grade. If I were mayor of Northfield for a day, I would like to keep in mind all of the things that I respect about a pioneer woman named Laura Ingalls Wilder. She once said, "The real things haven't changed. It is still best to be honest and truthful, to make the most of what we have, to be happy with simple pleasures, and have courage when things go wrong." This tells me that she valued honesty and truthfulness, self-reliance, and courage. In order to be a good leader then and now, you need all of those character traits to help people in your community. If you are always dishonest and not telling the truth, people are not going to listen to what you have to say. People want to be able to trust their leaders. Miss Wilder was a teacher. She had to have honesty and be trustworthy to teach her students. Every job is best if you do your best and work hard, Laura said. Her independent pioneer spirit got her through many difficulties in her time. Her family persevered through the plague of locusts, diseases without medical treatment, terrible winters, loss of crops, poverty, loss of a child, and moving to the West. A leader has to rely on his or herself to make decisions and choices for day-to-day life in the community and in times of crisis, much like our recent struggles with COVID-19. It takes a lot of courage to put your story out there for the world to know and read. Laura did just that. It would also take a lot of courage to be a leader and to make decisions that benefit a city like Northfield. I'm beginning to learn that it is the sweet, simple things of life which are the real ones after all, Laura once said. I think that honesty, self-reliance, and courage are the sweet, simple things that will make Northfield a better community.
Hi, I'm Camille Homan, and I'm in the 4th grade. If I were mayor for a day, I would set my alarm for 6 a.m. sharp. That shows commitment, because let's face it, you are definitely committing to something when you wake up at 6 a.m. That same kind of commitment is required to be mayor of Northfield. In my opinion, 3 good leadership traits for being mayor of Northfield are persistence, courage, and ingenuity. It is vital to be able to communicate to the citizens, to listen and not wait to speak. Nelson Mandela inspires me. The traits that he possesses are fundamental for being a mayor or any other position of leadership. For instance, he showed persistence when he kept pushing until he got what was right. If one is pushed down, one needs to be able to stand back up and brush the dirt off one's knees. It is important to have courage to stand in front of a crowd, to speak for those who don't have a voice, to keep going even after you failed to achieve what you had hoped. Like Nelson Mandela said, a good leader can engage in a debate frankly and thoroughly, knowing that at the end he and the other side must be closer and thus emerge stronger. You don't have that idea when you are arrogant, superficial, and uninformed. Nelson Mandela. If I were mayor of Northfield for a day, I would embody those traits. I would listen to people's opinions and points of view, concerns, etc., no matter the gender, class, and beliefs. If I were mayor of Northfield for a day, I would need lots of coffee, because on a regular day, I can't function properly without coffee. But being mayor for a day would definitely not be a regular day. Make that a triple shot espresso, please. I would cherish weekends. Being mayor must be a very difficult and time-consuming job. But the best part, if I were mayor, every Saturday morning, every kid in Northfield would get a bubblegum package. If I were mayor, that is.
The Northfield Climate Action Plan spells out a variety of actions for the City of Northfield to take to mitigate climate change. City government needs to lead by example for the community. Here's Beth Kalistad to talk about some of the actions the city took this past year. Hi, Beth.
Hi, Mayor. A big part of our initiatives in 2020 was around city energy use. We received a grant from the Clean Energy Resource Teams and evaluated city properties for potential on-site solar installation. We also looked at the community at large. We're working on getting proposals for installing solar panels at properties with the best solar potential.
The city government is looking to achieve net zero energy consumption for our 10 city buildings, which means we'll be producing enough energy to offset our usage.
That's right. 5 of our city buildings underwent energy efficiency audits through Xcel Energy in the summer of 2020. The audit showed us ways to reduce energy consumption from lighting, heating, cooling, and equipment use. We've started to move forward by replacing light bulbs with LEDs. We will be looking at equipment changes for more efficient operations in the near future. So far, we've already saved $6,000 in rebates.
Besides energy use in buildings, what other areas are we looking at for energy use?
We worked with Xcel Energy to do a fleet study to assess which city vehicles could potentially shift to electric vehicles. This will help us make better vehicle choices going forward.
Speaking of, that's not the only electric vehicle work this year. I recall cutting a ribbon or two last year.
Yes, the city partnered with the Rotary Club of Northfield and received a $9,000 grant to install the second public electric vehicle charging station at 5th and Washington Streets municipal parking lot. We're helping to build the infrastructure needed to bring electric vehicle usage to the mainstream in Northfield. As of December 2020, the 2 stations had saved almost 3,000 kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions from reduced gasoline usage. That's equivalent to planting 76 trees and letting them grow for 10 years.
This year's Board or Commission Member Excellence Award winner is Alice Thomas. This award is given to a board or commission member who performs their duties exceptionally well and takes initiative to go beyond expectations of their role. It recognizes a member who improves or enhances service and quality of work in ways that make a substantial difference for their respective commission or board. Alice Thomas has a long history of serving Northfield in a variety of capacities, ranging from the Planning Commission, the Northfield Historical Society Board, to her current position on the Heritage Preservation Commission, and as a volunteer helping to maintain Northfield's Central Park. In addition, she has been the driving force behind the preservation and rehabilitation of the Northfield Depot. Her fellow commission member said, "In my nearly 50 years of serving on the local organizations, I have never seen anyone make a greater contribution to Northfield than Alice." Congratulations to Alice Thomas on being the 2021 recipient of the Board or Commission Member Excellence Award. Congratulations to Accounting Supervisor Mary Grant, who is the recipient of the 2020 Employee Excellence Award. Mary also celebrates 20 years of service in the Finance Department. Mary is a hardworking, dedicated employee who always goes above and beyond to make sure that everything she works on is correct and deadlines are met. Mary likes to stay behind the scenes and doesn't like to have attention showered on her, but her hard work deserves recognition. She helps other employees when they need it and assists with the many tasks on top of her own. She's a friendly face and thoughtful when other employees are going through something personal. She's a genuine, good, caring person. Congratulations, Mary Grant, this year's recipient of the Employee Excellence Award.
Hello? Hi, Mayor Pownell. Yeah, sure, I can talk about how Northfield responded to COVID-19. Yeah, you know, the chamber did a lot, so I can give information on that. I was actually just making some coffee. Do you want some?
I'd love some! You know, Lisa, another group I have spoken with was the Rotary Club. They managed to have a busy year, even given everything.
Yeah, I saw that. They sponsored an electric vehicle charging station, didn't they?
They did. Rotary also gave money to nonprofits supporting local emergency housing, food supply, medical service, and so many more. Then they broke open their rainy day fund and distributed $50,000, most of it to nonprofits right here in Northfield.
That's great. I saw just a few months ago too, Northfield Shares announced that they had raised somewhere around $170,000 for redistribution to local organizations. So much generosity.
It's great to see Northfielders taking care of each other.
It is incredible.
Hopefully, with the vaccination rates rising, we can focus our community giving on additional worthy causes. For now, though, we just need to support our first responders and medical staff to get us through this.
And the community has done such a great job of that. I saw the Northfield Union of Youth made a chalk mural on the Northfield Hospital patio for Healthcare Week. Lions Fire hosted a pizza lunch under the safety measures for medical staff. And then there were the efforts of the citizens trying to keep each other healthy so that they can avoid going to the hospital.
That's where the Northfield Area Chamber of Commerce and Tourism comes in.
That's right. Along with the independent efforts of individuals and the assistance of the Northfield Shares Volunteer Hub, the Chamber of Commerce was the center of operations for the Northfield Mask Depot, which houses free supplies for community members to sew face coverings and isolation gowns. At the time of recording this, it is estimated that over 27,000 masks have been distributed through these efforts. We are also distributing over 5,000 state-issued masks to our businesses free of charge. This could not be done without the volunteers shown on screen right now and all the names scrolling across the bottom of the screen. It is likely that we missed some, but that just goes to show you how many people have banded together to get us through this.
The Chamber of Commerce certainly has survived a lot. It has been in Northfield for over a century and still serves us today. Thank you so much for collaborating with the city for this event and for everything else.
Of course.
Throughout the coronavirus pandemic, the Chamber staff have been working behind the scenes, gathering information on loans and grant programs for our community's businesses. You've taken the lead on social media communications and collaborated with the city, the hospital, the CAC, KYMN, and the Northfield News to assure that factual and up-to-date information is accessible to all of our community members.
Yes, all that on top of our main mission to support local businesses and the business environment of the community. To support businesses during this tough year, we created an online store and sold nearly $18,000 worth of gift certificates to area businesses and over $68,000 in chamber bucks. That's over $86,000 that has stayed in our community, benefiting our local merchants and restaurants. Please, when you are considering where you're spending your dollars, think local first.
I always do.
Oh, that was actually meant for our viewers.
Well, Lisa, this has been fun. Thank you for discussing the Chamber of Commerce and so much else with me.
It's my pleasure, Rhonda. I hope that the Chamber can put on some of its big events like the Home and Garden Show, Crazy Days, and Winter Walk again soon. Next time, though, let's get some real coffee.
Yeah, this one wasn't the best.
Oh, that's because it's a prop.
That explains it. There's nothing in there. After the year we've had, it's easy to feel overwhelmed at times. Actually, it's practically impossible not to be. It's the job of public servants, like all of the dedicated people we've met today, to give you a few less things to worry about. In fact, every other day of the year, when there isn't a crisis to respond to and you aren't hyper-aware of your local government, people are working hard behind the scenes on your behalf, fixing roads, signing forms, sending press releases, and so much more. This year, though, you have heard from us in response to a crisis, and that is thanks to our expanded communications team. Over the last year, hundreds of videos, pamphlets, signs, and social media posts have been distributed to keep you informed of new health measures, city programs, and ways to remain engaged from home. We wouldn't have been able to do it without the added staff resources the City Council supported. Our communications department has done a wonderful job this last year. On top of the emergency, the city government also managed its day-to-day functions. The Human Resources Department processed 47 new part-time, full-time, and seasonal job opportunities, all the while transitioning to a new onboarding system. The city's strong financial health and practices have been so important for our ability to respond during this pandemic as well. We have a strong financial team and again garnered a national award on our financial reporting. We have been able to maintain financially strong due to our responsible fiscal stewardship. We also held an election with over 87% voter turnout, which was tremendous, considering that we were in a pandemic. Of those voters, we had 66.5% voting absentee. Our city clerk's office and election judges should be commended for providing a safe and accurate general election in very challenging times. These are some areas you may not always be aware of since it's outside of City Hall, where you've likely seen most of our city staff's work. One project that I'm very excited about is the Highway 246 Jefferson Parkway roundabout. This project was a long time coming and hits on so many city goals. Of course, it helps with traffic and safety, but it also makes the city more walkable and bikeable. We've heard overwhelming positive feedback by residents, the school district who partnered with us, and others regarding the improved safety and access this intersection provides. It became a reality through City Council and staff efforts to secure substantial grants and aid provided by the state of Minnesota. It was truly a team effort to get this project completed. Let's talk to the Director of Public Works to learn about other construction projects. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Mayor.
With the pandemic, there were probably fewer cars on the road. Did that help to get things done?
That was a silver lining to the situation. With the nature of outdoor work, we were able to take precautions and still get a lot done. We finished the big 2019 reclamation project on the west side of the city. What that means is we dug up the full depth of the street, we adjusted and replaced water mains and sewers, we installed sidewalks on many of the streets that did not have them, and we improved the crossing over the railroad tracks. In the northeast section of the city, that area received a mill and overlay. What that means is the top 2 inches of asphalt was ground off and a new 2 inches was placed down. With all of our street reconstruction projects that we do now, and on both of these projects, we updated the sidewalks to comply with ADA requirements so people of all levels and mobility can safely use the sidewalks. We also added bike lanes to follow our pedestrian bike and trail system plan.
That's great. Transportation is important for all of our community members. Whether by car, bike, or walking, it's important that people have a safe and reliable way to move around the city. So the new streets and bike lanes are a noticeable difference in the city. But one area that people may not see every day, but definitely use every day, is water. I turn on my faucet and water comes out. I don't think much about how it gets there. What kinds of things do you take care of in the water department?
We deal with water in 3 different ways. We deal with stormwater, drinking water, and wastewater. For stormwater, we proactively do things to prevent flooding and erosion. We also look for ways to reduce pollution in our ponds and our rivers. A few years back, we reviewed all of our stormwater ponds. We're following that plan, and this year's project included 2 ponds at Parr Meadow Park and 1 pond next to the golf course. We removed sediment in the ponds and repaired the slopes of the ponds and added native plants around them. This is so the ponds do not overflow into the neighbors' yards and will also help keep our water clean.
Speaking of clean water, I know we're looking at ways to make our drinking water better.
So for our drinking water, we're looking at ways to reduce manganese in our drinking water. Manganese occurs naturally in drinking water and can be found in rocks and soils. The State Health Department has been studying it more closely and has developed new recommendations. This isn't a federal requirement, but we are looking at ways we can meet these new recommendations.
On the other side of water, we have wastewater. This maybe isn't such a pleasant topic to talk about, but we all flush our toilets and have water go down our drains. A few years ago, we had a fire at the wastewater treatment plant. Over the last couple of years, we were able to replace all of the equipment without a disruption in service. What other improvements have we made?
We completed a review on our wastewater facility and are working on improvements. We hired a new position, we developed standard maintenance procedures, and we computerized maintenance management system. All of these modernizations at our facility will make us more efficient in treating the city's wastewater.
The Northfield Arts and Culture Commission presented the 2020 Living Treasure Award to Mac Gimsey. Because of the pandemic, Mac will continue to hold the award for 2021. The Living Treasure Award honors individuals and groups who have, over time, made significant contributions to Northfield through or on behalf of arts and culture to enhance the reputation of the city and the quality of life of its residents. Mac epitomizes all of the characteristics celebrated by this meaningful award. A pillar of the liberal arts, Mac is not only an outstanding visual arts sculptor, but also a poet, philosopher, art historian, and compassionate man of faith and grace. His commitment to share his creativity has led to teaching and engaging in the lives of our community youth, as well as the hundreds, even thousands of students he drew to his courses at St. Olaf College. His knowledge, energy, creativity, and grand humor are infectious. Congratulations to Mac Gimsey on being the recipient of the Living Treasure Award. Let's listen to the last of the winning entries for the Mayor for a Day essay contest.
Hi, I'm Ella Rich and I'm in the 4th grade. If I were mayor for a day, I would have to be honest, have racial justice, and be brave. I chose honest because it's a great quality for creating trust. And hey, nobody wants an unhonest leader, right? I chose racial justice because in my opinion, it doesn't matter what the color of your skin is, and it doesn't matter where you come from. Everybody should be treated equally. Last but not least is being brave. Bravery is important because it defines who you are as a person and a leader. People will look up to you for being brave. A perfect example of all of this was Harriet Tubman. If you don't know who Harriet Tubman is, she was a slave as a little girl because she was black. When she got older, she decided to try and stop slavery. She decided to try and build an underground railroad. After her hard work, she built it. With and without it, she freed 70 families in a trip, and she took about 19 trips. That would equal up to about 300 families in total. She brought them all up north to where they would be safe. Another cool thing about her is that all the families she brought up north arrived safely. Wow. An example of her being brave is how she kept freeing slaves and taking a ton of risks. One reason I know she had racial justice was because she freed a ton of slaves. And do you think a white person would do that at the time? Well, maybe, but probably not many. She was an honest leader because she did what she said she would do: free the slaves and bring them to safety. She was telling the truth about that one. I never ran my train off the track and I never lost a passenger. Harriet Tubman.
I'm Mackenzie Lambert and I'm in 4th grade. If I were mayor for a day, I think 3 important character traits would be determination, care, and confidence. One example would be Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was determined to go to college and do a good job. I think to be a great leader, you have to be determined, because people are going to tell you that you can't do this or you can't do that, but you need to be determined to do what you think is right. And also some people should think it's right too, The whole world shouldn't be against you. Okay, now on to confidence. Ruth Bader was confident in women and girls and believed that they could do a lot of things. When you're a mayor, some people are going to push you down and say that bad things, but you need to be confident and believe in yourself. And now I'm going to tell you about care. You have to care for your people, not just sit around and think that now that you're mayor, you can do anything. Here's an example of caring. Ruth cares about the life of women and men and think that everybody should be treated fairly. And I think that you need to care about your job. Well, that's what I think. Bye.
We have met remarkable individuals today in our walk around Northfield. Civil servants, neighbors, and students who all ask themselves the same question: how can I help? That's what today is all about, highlighting the work of Northfield community members who are working to make life better in Northfield. That is how I measure the state of our city. Thanks to everyone in Northfield, the state of our city continues to be strong. Of course, this strength is not universal. We are still working to make our entire community healthier. Vaccination rates continue to rise, and infection rates steadily continue to drop. We must keep doing our best to be responsible, not just for ourselves, but our neighbors, even the neighbors we do not know. We are fortunate in Northfield to have a vibrant, engaged community that has played a vital role in working to maintain the strength of our community and to propel us into the future. Like John North back in 1855, the city has dreamt of a new future for our river valley and laid the groundwork for generations to come. Last year, we saw the completion and adoption of the Riverfront Enhancement Action Plan. Years in the making, this plan seeks to foster enthusiasm for our future along the Cannon River. It sets in motion the reimagining of park spaces, the connection of trails and communities, creative methods of wayfinding, and the pursuit of a regional park designation. It shows that even in a time when tomorrow seems uncertain, Northfield looks to the future of a healthier, more accessible, and vibrant community. One of our tools for keeping us on course for accomplishing our goals is our City of Northfield Strategic Plan. It's our commitment to strategic thinking, measurable results, and the delivery of quality services for all community members. We are set to embark on updating our strategic plan in the coming months. Executing strategy takes commitment at all levels of our organization and community. We cannot predict every change that we will be faced with, but the best cities adapt rapidly and remain committed to implementation and completion of their visions. We will too. 2020 saw many new additions to Northfield's skyline, new buildings going up and new history in the making. One of those additions was the new Greenville Park Elementary School. Additional safety improvements and needed remodeling were also made to our other elementary schools and to Longfellow. Our teachers and faculty have done a phenomenal job of delivering an excellent education to our community's children in the midst of a pandemic with constantly changing and evolving recommendations and guidelines. Our strong educational system is an important community asset. In November of 2020, a fire destroyed much of our beloved iconic Archer House. Thankfully, the building and its contents were the only damages. This tragic situation showed once again how ready Northfielders are to take care of their community. We look forward to the future when our beloved Archer House will once again welcome people to our community and be a place for Northfielders to gather. Our commitment to one another gives me hope. Your dedication, hard work, passion, courage, and tenacity has made all of these accomplishments we've talked about today possible. I am especially grateful for our many board and commission members, my council colleagues, and our city staff that have worked together over the past year. Your level of partnership, collaboration, and perseverance has been inspiring. Thank you so much for your leadership and service on behalf of our community. Like the Cannon River, which has given life to this land for millennia, we know that Northfield will come together again, no matter what separates us. It is my honor and privilege as the mayor of Northfield, elected by the people, that I tell you our city is strong. Our people are strong. Our community is strong. Though we may not be all together right now, we are still one body, one community, and together we will move forward. Thank you.